now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Recently, Michelle Obama expressed anger at black people for the election of Donald Trump in 2016. And I have to say that Michelle Obama's anger is misplaced because to express this anger at black people for staying home, as I see it, makes no logical sense when you take a critical examination of the 2016 election objectively. And I have to ask Michelle Obama, while she has all of this anger for black people for staying home in 2016, where is her anger at white women who voted in a 51 to 60% majority for Donald Trump? I find it interesting that your Michelle Obama has no fire or any smoke for that 51 to 60% of white women who voted for Donald Trump in 2016. However, she wants to talk about how angry she is at black people for staying home. I think if she wants to get mad at someone, she should get mad at all of those white women out there who went out of their way to vote for Donald Trump, because it was that 51 to 60% of white women who put Donald Trump in the White House. And if Michelle Obama also wants to get angry at somebody, shouldn't she be getting mad at all of those Hispanic people who voted for Donald Trump? I mean, most of these Hispanic people out here who voted for Donald Trump in a 30% majority, they heard all of the statements your Donald Trump made about building a wall. They heard all of the statements Donald Trump made that were derogatory towards Hispanics. And with Hispanics being the second largest voting bloc, you would think Michelle Obama would want to direct some of that smoke and that fire towards those Hispanics in that large voting bloc and direct that anger at them for all of them going out and voting for your Donald Trump. But no, she has no smoke, no fire, and no anger at the two large demographics that elected Donald Trump, your white women or your Hispanics. No, it's all about black people. The group that your Barack Obama went out of his way to deride and castigate during his 8 years in office, and did this while this group voted for him 98% in 2008 and 93% in 2012, believing that they would get hope and change, but got no tangibles in terms of hope and change from your Barack Obama. And I find it very sad that your Michelle Obama, after 8 years of her husband being the president and 4 years of Donald Trump, still has not understood why so many black people stayed home in 2016. And the reason why so many black people stayed home in 2016 is because they did not get the tangible of justice from their so-called black president. Now, your Barack Obama, I believe, could have easily gained Hillary Clinton the 2016 election had he done something about George Zimmerman in 2012, because I believe that the decision by your Attorney General Eric Holder not to press civil rights charges against George Zimmerman is the thing that led to Donald Trump coming to power. Because when your Attorney General Eric Holder at the time decided to not give black people the tangible of justice by filing federal civil rights charges against George Zimmerman, that is what led to Donald Trump becoming a powerful force in politics. Because when your Eric Holder refused to prosecute George Zimmerman, what happened is this emboldened Donald Trump, this emboldened his followers, and this led to them galvanizing themselves as a political base of individuals and led to them rising to power. So your Barack Obama made one of the gravest tactical errors in political history when he decided to take George Zimmerman for granted. And when he took George Zimmerman for granted, all he did was lead to the galvanization of Donald Trump as a political figure, and it led to the galvanization of that base of racists and white supremacists who supported Donald Trump as a political base because they felt that there was no one there who was going to challenge them and no one there who was going to check them for their racist behavior. So if anybody Michelle wants to get mad at, she needs to get mad at your Barack Obama because your Barack Obama had the power to stop Donald Trump way back in 2012 by doing something about George Zimmerman. Had he shut George Zimmerman down with federal civil rights charges, that would have stopped all of these rednecks and all of these racists from galvanizing as a political base. It would have shut Donald Trump down, and it would have practically stopped Donald Trump and his followers dead in their tracks. That would have shut everything down because when these racists understood that the president was going to make sure that the tangible of justice was going to be available to all Americans, that would have let all of these on the right, far right, understand that they would have to follow the standards of the Constitution. Unfortunately, your Barack Obama was a political novice, and he did not understand the game of political chess that was going on. And because he was not 7 steps ahead of what was going on in the world, he didn't understand the ramifications long term as related to his decision. And his ineffectiveness in dealing with George Zimmerman led to a domino effect where his attorney generals did nothing about the murders of black men such as Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Mike Brown, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile. And what this did was make black people become disillusioned because they saw they weren't going to get the tangible of justice. And because they weren't going to get the tangible of justice, they had no more incentive to continue participating in the political system of the United States of America. And this is why so many black Americans stayed home and why 7% of black men went to vote for Donald Trump. They went to vote for Donald Trump primarily because your Barack Obama did not give black people the tangible of justice, and because he didn't give them the tangible of justice, they had no incentive to go out here and vote. And this is the big problem with Michelle Obama and her misdirected anger. She doesn't understand that people vote when they believe they're going to get something, and their only reason to vote is to get something from their government. If people cannot receive any sort of tangible from their government, then they have no incentive to participate in their government. So getting mad at black people just shows me how completely disconnected and out of touch many on the left still are regarding the 2016 election, and how they still have not learned anything regarding that loss. I mean, they're still sitting there angry at black people, and again, taking the black vote for granted. And what's really troubling these days is they don't see how in today's new black media, more and more black people are demanding tangibles, and they are not going to go out here and vote unless they get something in exchange for their votes. So you have people on the left still angry at black people for not going out to vote, not understanding that you didn't give black people anything in 8 years, even though you promised them hope and change. They got no hope and they got no change. And if they don't get any sort of tangible things that lead to change, they have no reason to come out and vote for any candidate whatsoever. But I also believe Michelle Obama needs to really start directing that anger at these other demographics who the left have also taken for granted, like white women, who are the largest population of voters in the United States, and that you be angry at all of those white women who actively went out here and went to vote for a man who said he would grab them by their private parts, and also has gone out of its way to shut down an entire movement like Me Too, which was supposedly designed to stop sexual harassment and sexual assault. I mean, shouldn't you be mad at these white women and directing anger at those white women or those Hispanics who went out here and voted for a man who said he was going to build a wall to keep their people who were non-citizens who were Hispanic out of the country? Shouldn't you be angry at those groups instead of black people? Because when it comes down to black people, they had the least amount of incentive to go out here and vote for anybody because they didn't get any of the hope and change that were promised them. They didn't get any tangibles. I mean, white women got tremendous tangibles from Barack Obama. Your Hispanics got tremendous tangibles from Barack Obama. And even groups like the Alphabet got tremendous tangibles from Barack Obama. But why aren't you directing anger at those groups for going out here and supporting Donald Trump? It's always about black people and making black people the scapegoat for the shortcomings of people out here. I mean, as I see it, Barack Obama was the one who made the big mistake in not dealing with George Zimmerman and alienating the black voting base. And he was the one who went out here and condescended and talked down to the black voting bloc, the same way Michelle Obama right now is continuing to condescend and talk down to the black voting bloc, and the way your Biden has gone out here with his lift every voice, continuing to present a paternalistic approach towards black people, and wondering why you continue to lose the black vote. Well, you have to, again, give black people something tangible, and the tangible of justice is something that is very important to black people, because if black people don't feel safe about being able to go to pursue the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness in this country, then they have no incentive to go out here and vote for any political candidate, because they have no incentive to vote for those candidates because those candidates have nothing to offer them. And this is the big problem with those on the left, is they take their voting blocs for granted. They take their people for granted. And you can say whatever you want about Donald Trump being a racist and Donald Trump being a jerk. And I personally believe the man is not qualified to be the president of the United States based on his lack of experience in public administration. But one thing Donald Trump does know how to do is he knows how to talk to people. And I believe those on the left need to start learning how to talk to people instead of talking at people. And they need to start learning how to stop taking people for granted, because this is the thing that is leading to people not wanting to participate in their government or vote for their candidates, because their candidates just do not know how to engage a group of people or know how to deliver on goods for those people. The big problem with the Democratic Party is they think that they're serving themselves and they're not trying to serve we the people, because to get mad at black people for the election of Donald Trump shows how you're thinking it's all about you when it's supposed to be about what you're going to do for the American people. And if the American people don't feel like they are getting their needs met from a candidate and they're not getting their tangibles given to them by a candidate, then they have no hope or reason to go out here and vote for that candidate. That's something I wish Michelle Obama and the left would learn, but it seems 4 years after the defeat at Donald Trump, they're still in their feelings that they can't think critically about why they lost, and the main reason why they lost was because they were arrogant enough to believe they did not need to respect black people, they did not need to respect the rights of black people, and that they had this large Hispanic voting base to go out here and they could use that group over black people. But what they're finding is that if the black people stay home, they have no hope of ever winning any sort of election, because if black people can't get tangibles, then they have no reason to go out here and vote for any candidate. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.